The San Jose Sharks go to Southern California to take on their longtime rivals, and it goes into a shootout and a loss. We'll break down this one where the Sharks pick up a point. We'll see what the heck is going on with the Kuhre and a lot more right now. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Saturday night, December 17th, 2022. The Sharks lose in a shootout 3-2 to the Los Angeles Kings. A rough one, as always, against a Southern California rival. But we'll break it down for you right now on Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. So if you want to be part of the show, join the conversation and chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the YouTube page or the app all over Sharks territory and around the world. Good evening to you. You can also follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, and, of course, TikTok. And, of course, you can find everything at tealtownusa.com. And if you want to support the content that we provide, you can hit us up on Venmo at tealtownusa or do a YouTube Super Chat donation. We appreciate each and every one of you. All 2,893 subscribers, we appreciate you so much. You know who else I appreciate? The guy who spells his name the right way, Eriks Landi.
Hey, Buckeye, how you doing?
Doing all right. It's it's LA, so of course you wanna beat them like crazy, but man, you got a point out of it. Reimer played really well up until the last two shooters of the shootout. And basically, not to jump right into Reimer's night, but honestly played a hell of a game and kept this team in it.
Look, I mean, when you posted a .951 save percentage, you're doing everything that you can in my book. And, you're holding the team to three goals on the night. Again, it's a good mark for the goaltender to have, for sure. He's definitely bounced back since his last game against Los Angeles, where he had gone back on the IR after the game and didn't look very good in that game. So it was good to see him play well against LA tonight.
Yeah, a spectacular game coming off of a win against the Desert Dogs on Tuesday night. Sharks come into LA for a brief one-gamer. They're back at it, Sunday night against the Calgary Flames, and started off roughly. Let's say the first 5 minutes you didn't allow a goal. That's the good part. The bad part is that Shimmick takes a tripping call, and then before the 6-minute mark, Kings get on the board on a rush from Phillip Danault to make it 1-0.
Yeah, power play. The penalty kill had been leaking some oil. It came in tied for second in this game. So we had some question marks around the PK, and again, allowing really easy zone entries right now. I'm seeing that as a reoccurring theme in this little bit of an oil slick that they've hit on the PK is the easy zone entries. The goal came off the rush.
Yeah.
And so that tells you, they were coming into the zone full stride, nobody picking up or tagging Phillip Danault on the blue line. And again, you just cannot give up your blue line that easily and expect, not to be scored on, especially shorthanded.
Yeah, and like you said on the rush, how do you let the guy get that much room? Yeah, you're shorthanded, but still, you would have thought somehow Danault would get out, would deal with somebody to make him maneuver around somebody to get in there, but it just walked right in.
Yeah, walked right in, and really pretty backhand.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really slick mitts by Danault there, and a sneaky good pickup for LA. I like that in the offseason for LA. I'd always had a keen eye on him in Montreal, a player that the Sharks, quite frankly, could have used or picked up in this off season. He's kind of one of those feisty players, but he's got some skill. So not only does he have that rat in him, but he's also got some slick mitts, and that's his 8th goal on the season. Again, just kind of goes to the juxtaposition of the depth and the talent on the forward line for the LA Kings, and really kind of outshining and outlasting the Sharks.
Yep. So that made it 1-0. A little later on in the period, after Kapari takes a tripping call on Erik Karlsson, Meier, just left alone on the side of the net, waits for loose puck to him. He bangs it home for his 15th of the year to make it 1-1. To consider that near the end of October, Timo had no goals. We're obviously calling him out on After Dark, and now he's picked up 15. This one a power play marker. Nice to see, nice to get it tied up. And I thought this power play, I know they went 1 for 3. Was it 1 for 3? Yeah, 1 for 3 on the night. That was probably their best looking power play.
A lot of sustained pressure. It was a second opportunity type goal, a garbage goal, as you like to say. The puck going between the goaltender, in the 5-hole, it kind of bouncing off of his pad a little bit, and it kind of takes a good bounce towards Timo. Timo's able to get the puck square to the net. He had an empty 5x6, so I would hope he would score on that. But I think Couture and Karlsson really initiating that play. Karlsson coming up from the blue line, Logan getting it on that left hash, making that shot, and then having somebody follow up. It's good fundamentals. Using the extra man advantage to your advantage, and not wasting a power play opportunity there, especially to respond to the Danault power play. Again, good to see Timo getting the points. Going to be very interesting come trade deadline what exactly the formula is going to be for Timo, especially with the type of season that he's having right now. Really picking up from last season and his almost point per game pace last year, and so again, question marks surrounding whether or not Timo is here for the long haul, or if this is an asset that you really need to maximize come trade deadline.
Oh, and it basically comes down to where Mike Grier believes this team is. Whether it's are they a couple years away, or are they many, many years away? Because I think Timo's young enough to be one of the leaders on this team, to be one of those assets to be a part of this. I mean, to have.
And we're both optimistic guys, right? I think we both try to tend to look at it. Yeah. Even if you're down and out, you try to look at the bright aspects, and you don't need to look very far down the coastline to LA to show how you integrate veterans, high-end veterans with a younger mix. I mean, the blueprint or the recipe, to succeed with a young core kind of pushing up against, some older veterans. I mean, if the team can put together 3 or 4 really good rookie prospects, graduate 3 or 4 really good rookie prospects, you might be able to recreate a similar mix as what LA has. But I am concerned with the development progress with our high-end prospects, and considering where they're at, across the entire AHL landscape. I would say that they're kind of middle of the pack. Our upper echelon prospects are middle of the pack prospects in the AHL at this moment in time. It's not Bordelot, yes, is playing well, but I don't believe he's among the league leaders in the AHL for scoring, right?
He's one of the leading rookie scorers in the AHL right now.
Leading rookie. So that tells you maybe he's at least another development season away from coming up. So I'm concerned about the lack of blue chippers, that the Sharks have, in order to kind of replicate the success that LA has. But if you want to look at it half full, again, the blueprint is there for the team to try to do this convert on the fly, and to try to be competitive on the fly. And it's not unheard of, but I have to see more from our prospects in order to have hope that we can mimic what LA is doing.
Yeah, I mean, LA, I think, is probably one of the big ones to look after as to what they've done, and stick taps the former Sharks captain Rob Blake for a heck of a job that what he's doing. I mean, this team is in second place in the Pacific. Um, and I like how they have Marco Sturm in Ontario. You give him some development to become a head coach. Who knows if he's going to be a prospect down the road for somebody that wants to make a change. But overall, yeah, that's the big deal, and how this team will look. And let's be honest, as we talked about the other night, the how much the cap will go up. That's a big thing also with Timo. So that remains to be seen. So that's 1-1 after one. Second period, I thought the Sharks kind of got even keeled with LA. I think there was like 17-13 in the shots, but before the back-to-back goals, Sveshnikov, you gotta be smarter. And it's like, yeah, I know you don't like the non-call there. I know you don't like getting that, but that roughing call, if somebody scores on that power play for LA, I'm livid if I'm David Quinn.
Yeah, and we had maligned a little bit the PK earlier in the first, but the PK would come to save the bacon in second and third period. So I don't know if maybe they took some adjustments into the into the locker room and said, hey, the Kings are gaining the line way too easy, and you need to start posting up and start checking guys as they enter into the offensive zone. And we saw that. I guess we saw that on display in that second period where the penalty kill looked like it had tightened up just that little extra bit and really did start to contest the offensive zone. So good on the PKers. I think, again, missing Mario Ferraro for as long as we have, and Matt Nieto.
Yep.
I think you're going to take a natural regression on the PK, but they definitely bent, and you could say that they bent a little too far in the first period, but in that second period, I think they stiffened up their backs collectively as a unit, and really the PK would factor in the third as well.
Right, and you see that with the discipline, because this team has been known to be undisciplined, especially in the final 40 plus. So just have that just be the lone call, in the middle frame. That's nice. What's also nice is seeing LeBanc shoot the puck. Man, was that a sweet one-timer to give the Sharks a brief 2-1 lead for a minute, I think.
Well, and I just, before we even go on to the next goal, I think this one we have to highlight the impressive zone entry by Erik Karlsson and getting the puck up to Meier. Right. I think, we had kind of all collectively seen and collectively thought that maybe, Erik Karlsson was getting an assist on that one too.
Yeah.
And kind of interesting that they didn't give him one there. But again, Kevin getting into the slot, opening up his hips and being able to accept the puck and on the one-timer. Good for Kevin, and good to see him shooting in the spots that he needs to be shooting in to be successful.
Yeah, and finding that open spot to shoot it and get a sweet rocket of a shot, and and personally, not to tease for further, but we'll talk about LeBanc in the shootout, and man, that was that fun. So Meier with the lone assist on that one, that made it 2-1 for Meier. That's 5 points in his last 4 games. He had a goal and assist on this one. He was shut out against the Desert Dogs, but then, picked up another goal and assist beforehand, and then a goal before that. So nice run for Timo there. Unfortunately, the lead for the Sharks, I believe, lasted a total of 50 seconds as Anderson Dolan gets his third to tie it up at 2-2, and I thought there was a lot of puck watching on this goal.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. A lot of puck watching. I don't think that the forwards really tracked well back on the back check, and kind of left their defensemen, hanging out to dry. I think it was on a 3-on-2 on the rush coming the other way, right? So, another rush play where you've got your defensemen kind of hung out to dry, and again, the forwards have to do a better job tracking back into their defensive zone, and just not seeing the hustle there. So. It's very deflating to have go and take the momentum, or what you think is going to be a momentum moving type goal with LeBanc, to have that snatched away within a minute. Very deflating, and you could see the team start to sag after that, and LA start to smell blood in the water, to take a pun from our own book, and at that point, to me, it looked like San Jose was starting to kind of feel like the sag that we see when they get down. And we can see that this team, when it lacks confidence, and when it gets the momentum part of the game is taken from them, they really do react poorly to that. And they really do allow more shots on net. I think it bears out in that third period.
Yeah. In the third period, I think I hate to say that the coaches kind of get in the way, but I mean, they kind of just calmed down just a bit. The shots, I think, were like tied 5-5. There was some good back and forth. Each team had a power play, but just could not get anything done with it. And then Reimer had some nice saves to keep it from getting worse, and he gobbled up on rebounds. You even saw Benino blocking a shot where it might have gone in because I think Reimer was out of position. So that made it 2-2.
Well, let's talk about that third period, though, because I think one thing that we saw at the very late stages of that third was a Sharks power play that did not generate anything, and then after that they allowed their play to sag, and kind of setting themselves up for the failure that they had, not in overtime, because they didn't lose the game in overtime, but they definitely missed an opportunity in overtime, a very ripe opportunity to get a win. And I think, again, it started with just the lackadaisical power play that we saw in that third period. So I think the lack of execution on the power play, the fumbling of the puck on the blue line, really sowed the seeds of doubt in the power play unit, that kind of reared its ugly head in the overtime.
Yeah, and in overtime, Sharks would get a power play again as Timo draws 2 penalties for LA, setting up a couple of power plays. But this one just, man, Hurdle fans on a shot. They go offsides, much to the frustration of Erik Karlsson, and I don't blame him on that one. I know the Randy Hahnism icing on the power play, which is never good, but I mean, offsides is just frustrating to see, and then even seeing one Shark getting double teamed on one end of the ice, and the other 3 are just standing there.
It's like you literally have the man advantage on a 4-on-3, which is a more offensively geared power play than than a 5-on-4 because you have the extra ice and you have the man advantage, and to still be outmuscled in the corner is just it's just it's mind-boggling, and it just goes to show the level of commitment or lack of commitment to wanting to play in the boards and wanting to grind out physically with the Kings. And I think, of the play tonight, the Kings had the majority, of the more physical play. I think that they were more imposing. I think that they had more strategically placed checks and in better positions. It bears out on the hits 36-26 in favor of the Sharks. But, I did not see a lot of physicality from the Sharks. I didn't see them trying to impose their type of game. They more let the game be dictated to them. And again, when you're allowing the other team to set the pace of play, and when you've got a penalty kill that's more hungry than the power play, you're going to see, pardon my French, piss poor power plays like that continually.
Yeah, and it led to a number of chances. I mean, I still think NHL.com has this wrong, but they're showing that the Kings outshot the Sharks 7-0 in overtime, and the Sharks had a 4-on-3 for 2 minutes. That's pretty pathetic.
That can't happen. That can't happen.
No.
If you're expecting the team to grow, and you're expecting the team to at least compete with some heart or with an ounce of credibility in their game, you need to have shots on goal, and this is a lineup, that power play one unit especially, that has enough talent to score goals. I mean, you've got Timo Meier, you got Hurdle, you got Couture, and you got Erik Karlsson. I mean, that should be a unit that should be able to make some plays, that should be able to at least put one shot on net in a 4-on-3 power play.
Yeah, it's just unacceptable to have that happen. So this game goes into a shootout. Both goalies are standing tall early on, and then Kevin Labanc trying to save the game for the Sharks with a beautiful move. It's kind of like a hybrid of what Pavelski used to do with that little stutter stop, and now he's just added some more dangles to it, and man, he beat Copley like a rented mule there. It's like so many jukes and jangles and dangles and things that he just opens up the 5-hole with no problem there. Unfortunately, Reimer couldn't keep the last two out, so it is a shootout loss in the books for the Sharks. But again, you get a point, and that's.
But I mean, even before we wrap that up with the point, Alexander Barabanov on his shot selection there, I don't know what he's doing there. You look in the way in which Kevin Labanc scored his goal, and it required a fake, and I don't understand why you don't see more communication on the Sharks benches with guys saying, hey, look, this is what I did to score, or this is what I'm seeing. Now, of course, we can only see so much from TV. Maybe there is some talk there, but kind of an odd selection there for Barabanov to go shot and not go with a deke or try a backhanded move, because it looked like you could get some lateral movement out of Copley, and he is a little prone to overplaying a puck. So again, kind of interesting there. AJ bringing it up in the chat, the fact that LA played 4 games on the road during a 7-game stretch, and San Jose only played 1 at home, somehow couldn't match LA's energy for most of the night. Just baffling why you don't have any shots on net in overtime. Baffling.
Yeah, and 2 shots on goal in the first 15 minutes of the third. Just, you get that push from LA. You hold them down to just 5 shots, so that's a good thing compared to the 29 you've given up in the first 40 minutes. And then, but yeah, you have that lackluster power play. you have not trying to generate shots. You're stuck in your own zone for back and forth, or LA is just not giving you anything. You got to come with the hunger. I mean, you're literally called the Sharks. You got to get hungry. Got to get hungry on that.
Got to get hungry. You got to be willing to stand in front of the net, get dirty. You got to be willing to throw the body in the corners, and just kind of match LA's intensity, right? I mean, that's the whole thing was, again, the Sharks getting dictated, getting the play dictated to them, and whenever you have a team imposing themselves physically upon another team, imposing their style of play on the other team, it's never a good night. And again, just not enough pushback from the Sharks. We had a comment in there about Oscar Lindblom, and it's like, yeah, he was pretty much invisible tonight, and it bears out on the time on ice. He had the least amount of time on ice for forwards. And I don't know what the call is playing him there. He's been very inconsistent all year. Not been a player that has shown me enough, to warrant to warrant playing over Noah Gregor. I mean, because every time I've seen Noah Gregor in the lineup, he seems to have more jump than Oscar Lindblom.
Yeah, the thing is that his jump, no finish. And he's shown flashes, which is great and all, but at this point in his career, he needs to finish. I think I would speak with Hockey Jerk when he's talked about Gregor on the Pucknologist. It's make or break for him. It's make or break for a lot of these guys because the kids are like going to be itching to get up here, at least that. But they have to earn it to get up here. And I know there's a lot of chat going on. When's Bordelot coming? When's Eklund coming? They could be scorers. No, they're not going to come up. They don't want to put them in this mess. Hell, the Kuhre are clinging on to any playoff hopes at the moment. I mean, they're barely above 500. We'll get to the Kuhre in a bit, and 2 shots on goal, and the Sharks had none on that 4-on-3 power play. That, again, like we said, unacceptable. SG Sports Talk channel with the super chat donation. Appreciate that. And go Niners, of course. Who are your top 3 stars for the Sharks?
Looking mighty pretty. That's all I got to say about that. top three stars on the Sharks. Who do you got as your number 1 right now? Because I think AJ kind of nailed it for me.
Yeah, AJ, you're on it tonight, and I mean, Reimer, Meier, Karlsson. Yeah, I mean, Reimer's been that solid goaltender for you at night. Timo Meier has come on strong. It's nice to see Couture also getting in there and Hurdle contributing. But, I mean, Erik Karlsson's had a monster year, which has been nice. It's about damn time, to quote Lizzo.
And I think for me, I think I would just make one small edit to the way that AJ's got it lined up there. So he puts Reimer as 1, Meier as 2, and Karlsson as 3. I think I would flip Karlsson and Meier just this season. Not any other season withstanding, but the three stars of this season, I think it would be, for me at least, Reimer, Karlsson, and Meier.
Yeah.
Just because it seems like Erik Karlsson has sipped from some sacred chalice this offseason and rejuvenated himself somehow.
Yeah. From PJ48, the Sharks are playing Lindblom to try to get him going, just like LeBanc, just like Bonino, just like Gregor, just like Svechnikov. I would also throw in Nieto for that matter too. Lindblom was supposed to be on this was supposed to be a second line player when he was signed. Hate to
0 shots on goal though. I mean, no shots on goal tonight, and a -1 and 9 minutes and 40 seconds of ice time. He had 2 hits, but I mean, again, for a guy who you're penciling in on your second line,
or wanting to,
not doing enough, not nearly enough.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only. I'm just making sure, unless something's wrong with him. He was the only one who didn't get into double digits in ice time tonight. concerning. I mean, Gadjevich had 10-27 and he threw hits around. I mean, Lawrence had some chances with the what was it, a shorthanded chance where he had the defense go away and he got a shot on goal. I mean, you're doing something there.
Gadjevich had a takeaway tonight, and had 2 blocks and had more ice time than Oscar Lindblom, right? I mean, look, you don't have to be making shots on net all the time in order to, pull your weight, but you got to do something, right? Whether it's playing a good defensive game or whether it's taking the puck away or even hell, just possessing the puck through the neutral zone cleanly. I mean, very little you're asking of him right now, playing on the fourth line and yet still unable to get anything going, and it's concerning.
Yeah, and that's the concern is that Lindblom, Lawrence, Sveshnikov, all the guys that Dreer signed that wasted all that cap space, because if you look at Cap Friendly, the Sharks right now only have a whopping $29,310 in cap space. Their deadline cap space is barely under $900,000. You can't even make moves right now. You're at the roster limit with 23 guys. You have 49 contracts. You are on the tip of the iceberg, which sucks.
I'm looking at it. Evgeny Svechnikov had 3 shots on goal tonight, and this was a guy that was placed on waivers the other night. I don't know, man. I think you're going to have some kind of shot across the bow for Oscar Lindblom to get his head in the game, because again, he is got to show more.
Yep.
In order to play up here, because there's a kid, SG Sports Stock is asking us about Thomas Bordeleau, or our thoughts on Thomas Bordeleau. I mean, right now, Thomas Bordeleau, probably the second best forward on the CUDA. I mean, I think Agazino, is having a good year, and I think for me, probably the more complete player. Of course, AHL journeyman, not expecting him to come up and play any meaningful minutes for the Sharks, but Thomas Bordeleau could be a guy that you could, flip an Oscar Lindblom in the lineup as, flip those 2 players and probably get more out of up here, even in a reduced role, a third or fourth line role. Putting Thomas Bordeleau, I think he's going to give you something more than Oscar Lindblom has.
Yeah. To answer the question earlier, Thomas Bordeleau has 12 goals. Including one tonight. We'll get to the CUDA in a sec, but he's tied 9th in scoring with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6-7 players in the AHL. So not only is he one of the best forwards or one of the best rookies, he's one of the best overall. I mean, tied for top 10 in goal scoring in the AHL, which, as I look at this, I chuckle because remember Lane Peterson? He's got 17 goals for the Abbotsford Canucks right now. Remember Rourke Chartier? He's got 14. And good on for Rourke Chartier, because he had a rough time with injuries. Right before he came up to the Sharks organization, and then when he was playing with the CUDA as well. So good to see on that.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this before, where we kind of bemoan the post-Teal syndrome, but I also tend to think that that's a reflection upon the organization and not being able to place players in a position to do well.
Yeah, and to comment on what Ian's saying, Lane Peterson always torn up the AHL. He's just never produced it in the NHL.
Yeah, I don't think Lane Peterson or Rourke Chartier would have, or let's put it to you this way. I think that they are prime AHL players, and I just don't think that their games translate necessarily up here. Again, we've seen both up in the NHL for the Sharks. and not really be able to have consistency in their game. And that's kind of what separates the journeyman AHLer from, the NHLer, is just that consistency on a night-to-night basis. But good on them for again, developing their game and, continuing to press forward. I mean, hats off to the people that continue their hockey career in the AHL and, again, knocking on the door for NHL jobs. But, kind of leaves you wondering what could have been.
Yeah.
All I need to say is Yanni Gord.
Oh man, don't. Oh man, come on.
Too soon?
Too soon. A couple comments from the locker room with David Quinn. I thought their stretches we looked good, and others where we weren't competitive. We were inconsistent tonight with what we tried to do. We might be fortunate to get out of here with a point. I mean, I appreciate the real talk from David Quinn, and he's spot on. I mean, that's kind of what we got going on here. James Reimer, we're not focused on the past or the future. You'd like to get 2 points, and it sucks right now. Big game tomorrow. We have to find a way to get points. Yeah, Reimer played this one tonight. It's expected for Kaapo Kähkönen to get the start for the first game of the 2-game series against Calgary on Sunday night.
Look, I mean, you talk about a player that has had some ups and downs this season. Kaapo Kähkönen, I think it, epitomizes the lack of consistency. So, for me, it's going to be a one of those times where he can make a statement in a positive way or a negative way with his play. And I hope that he does well tomorrow. I really do. I think that there is a goaltender there who could be a starter, just from the physical and from the pedigree perspective, but it's got to show us some consistency, right? Because I think it's very concerning with just game to game what you're going to get out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. So that puts a bow on the Sharks. Let's quickly recap what happened with the Barracuda over the weekend.
Ooh, Barracuda!
The Barracuda were in Loveland, Colorado, taking on the Avalanche top affiliate, the Colorado Eagles. Lose both of them 4-3 on Friday, and then on Saturday night lose to the Eagles 5-2. In this one, Thomas Bordeleau, who we've talked about a bunch so far this evening, gets his 12th of the season. Brandon Coe gets his third. Eklund gets an assist. Maki Niemi, made 23 of 27 saves, but to me, I think, it's a matter of time before this. I think we kind of teased the Barracuda to be better than they thought. I think everybody would think they would have been, because I think we saw all the players that are going to be down there. And granted, I think more than anything, it's their defense. It's just they need defensive help badly. It doesn't help that Harrington's up here. It doesn't help that you have a number of defensemen up with the Sharks, because you don't have Nidavara. We haven't even heard about Nidavara. Where is Nidavara with that? You have Ferraro out. Shimmick was out for a while, so it's been a struggle for the Cuda to have some defensive ways that got them off to that good 4-0 start. Landy.
Yeah, and on the Cuda, back on the Cuda track, the one good thing though, I will say, they have been middling. I think they have a 500 record right now.
Yep.
But the players that you want to see do well, I think, are doing well, right? I think, Thomas Bordeleau is up there with rookie scoring. William Eklund, same point total, different, a little bit different spread on the goals to assists. but again, keeping pace with Thomas Bordelot. Tristan Robbins, another player who has started to kind of bubble to the top. Daniela Gushkin, another guy that we have had our eye on and think could be an interesting prospect. Ryan Merkley, now the points starting to kind of come. He's a -1, so pretty good, with 25 games.
And he took a puck to the head a Friday night against the Eagles. He did come back in that game, but that's definitely not going to feel good.
Yeah. You just hope that he doesn't have a concussion.
Yeah.
That's all that I really, really hope that he takes care of his head, because, again, he's had some issues with that before, and concussions are never fun to deal with.
Nope.
I mean, we all remember Rourke Chartier and how he's had to battle through that.
Yeah, and Ian mentioning, he almost didn't tell the team about his concussion because you want to play and everything. You gotta be careful with that. But yeah, and like Ian's been saying in the chat, they have a half a blue line. Literally 3 guys are on PTOs. One of them, I know, one of my good buddies up in Boise. They're proud of him, and I can't think of the guy's name who's originally with the Steelheads, who's on a PTO with the Sharks for the second time around. But yeah, you have Hataka, who took that big hit against Tucson. Pouliot, we don't know. There's no ETA on the return. Chichek up, Harrington up. Yeah, you have 2/3 of your blue line not available. And so at 13-13, 0-1, and you're at 500. You're hanging in there in the 10-team Pacific Division. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So remains to be seen what will happen, but they do lose both games in Colorado. They, I believe, they head up Tuesday, take on the Abbotsford Canucks, who are not too far off with them at 30 points with 25 games in. So that'll be a good test there for San Jose. So.
Oh, and Ian bringing up a good point. Knyzhov might be close-ish. I think from last what we had heard, he had started taking practice on the ice. I don't know if he has started practicing, with contact yet, but good to see. And maybe this is a guy that you keep on that Barracuda blue line to try and ease him back into. Into a top 4 role for the Sharks, because, we had all seen how Simic came back from his knee injury, and the first year back was very difficult for him adjusting to speed. So again, if they can take their time with Knyzhov and give him, the ability to play down with the CUDA for a little bit, I think that would be beneficial for both the player and for the CUDA.
Yeah. So that kind of breaks down the CUDA info on there. We'll have more on the CUDA tomorrow night, Sunday night on the Pucknologist. Just a programming note there, because of the Sharks game at 7:30, Sharks and Flames, Pucknologist will begin live immediately following Sharks and Flames. So roughly
it'll be a late night for the boys.
10 o'clock. I have a feeling that if they go 2 hours, that's going to be a long night. So stick and stay with us. If you haven't already, of course, hit that subscribe button down below. It also helps to you if you hit that notification bell, so that way when the guys go live on Sunday night. So with that, in case you missed anything, or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Odyssey. It's also available on YouTube, so make sure you smash that like, subscribe, and bell buttons. And if you are watching us on the replay, hey, leave a comment down below. Tell us, what did you like from James Reimer tonight? What do you think? Should Barabanov deked in the shootout? I mean, how mad are you that Bordelot's not up? Going onward. So leave your comments down below, and I know Ian loves getting on the comments, so we'll definitely check it out there. So, Landy, as always, great to chat with you, my friend. Your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Final thoughts. We had a really interesting question at the very beginning of the show, a philosophical one on shootouts and whether or not they belong in the game. I think that they do. I think it's a fun spectacle and a nice way to have a finite finish to the game. I know that our brethren to the north of us still respect the tie, but nobody likes seeing a tie. So that's my final thoughts there. As far as where you can find me, you can use my first name, that's Erik, last name Landi, across the social media garbages.
It's not that more truth nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Michael Molasses, thank you for that question there. As I'm looking up at some of the other comments, Jesse Littlefield, I'll take the moments where I can get him. That LeBanc move in the shootout was just, inject that to my veins. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. Hot Wheels 84, the Sharks remain determined to look out numbered while on the power play somehow. Yeah, that's the tough one, and it's never easy, but you know what? It's always fun to do this with people that we love and appreciate. So,
you love me?
Don't expect flowers, Landy. Come on now.
But Christmas cards. Come on now. Bring that holiday cheer in.
All right. I'll get on those Christmas cards. Crap. Do I have any left over? I don't know. Okay. Anyhow, I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and Instagram. Just a reminder again, Sharks Flames Sunday night 7:30. Immediately following the game, the Pucknologist will air roughly around 10 o'clock. So be on the lookout for that. So again, hit that notification bell after you hit your subscribe button, so that way you know when AJ and Jerk will be on to break down the week that was in Sharks hockey. Ian, you coming on that night? I don't know. If he is or not, cool. If not, we all need some sleep. So I could totally get it for Ian. So with that, thanks for watching. Again, Pucknologists following the Sharks and Flames on Sunday night. And until then, thanks for watching. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you following Sharks and Flames for the Pucknologist takeover on Sunday night. Have a good night, everyone.